Hi all, welcome to my channel. This is my first video that I'm testing out recording audio with. Last time all I did was the in-game music, and this time I'm actually going to try to record audio over it. This is Phantasy Star Online. I am playing it on a Dreamcast. It is an old game. It was made in 1999. It was probably one of the first actual MMOs that went online. The Dreamcast had a lot of online capability that people didn't really know about, really utilize. So, yeah, I didn't own a Dreamcast back then, but I did play this game. It was later released, ported onto GameCube, Xbox, and PC. The GameCube and Xbox versions had a additional storyline to it, but the Dreamcast only had the one storyline. They did release two versions of the game. The first version on Dreamcast had less items, and then later they supplemented it by adding a second version that added more items and weapons for the characters to use. They also kind of tweaked the classes and added a little bit more balance to them. So I've been playing this game for a little while. I'm on the hard difficulty now. The game really only has 4 levels. It has a forest area, which is the starting area, which I showed in my last video. The second area is the cave. After that there's a mine. And then last is ruins. This game does have a storyline. When you play offline like I am right now, you can talk to characters and get a little bit more storyline. The main story going along with this game is you are searching for the lost crew of Pioneer 1, which went down to the planet. They were all lost and all communication was never heard from them. You find out after talking to he's called the principal. He's kind of in charge of Pioneer 2, which you leave from. You find that his daughter was part of the initial crew that went down, and part of the adventure is to look for her. As you can see, it's a room-based system. There's doors. You have to kill all the enemies to advance through a door. Sometimes there's switches. I'm playing as a ranger class, so I use long-range weapons. Currently I'm using what is considered the shot series of weapons, essentially a shotgun. It hits multiple targets. As you can see, in the bottom right here, I have a panel that if I hit my R button, it changes the panel to different options. These are your attack buttons. They configure to the 4 buttons on the Dreamcast controller. So I have set here a special attack, which is on the left one, which is certain weapons have secondary abilities, such as shooting fire, draining health, shocking enemies, instant kills, and additional elemental attacks. The middle attack is a weak attack. It's your basic attack. It's quick. And then the third one is a heavy attack. Now you can configure these however you want, those 3 buttons, and then when you press R, you get another 3 options, and you can configure those however you like as well. I prefer having healing items right there. I play as a cast type character, which means I'm an android, and I can't use magic. If you play as a human or a new human, you can use magic to attack your foes other than just your weapons, which then they would have a completely different setup than I do, seeing only I can use my weapon. That's it. I don't have any other traits or anything. Androids normally have a little bit higher stats than the rest to make up for the lack of mental ability. So yeah, this is a fun game. You travel room to room, clearing out the enemies, solving puzzles. Throughout the rooms, there's these little beams of light that come out of the ground. They're in little, I guess, doohickeys. Maybe there's one in this room that I can show off. Yep. So right here, next to my character, I don't want to get attacked. There's a little device, and it's kind of like for people who played BioShock, picking up the audio diaries, where you kind of get the story piecemeal as you go through the game. You find little, well, in BioShock you'd find the little diaries. In this, you have the little, they're little beams of light. Once I clear this room, we'll be able to see it. They give you a little bit more into the story. They're left by the principal's daughter, and kind of tells, sometimes it gives you tips about the enemies in the area, or it gives you a little bit of story. So rooms kind of have a wave-based combat. This game could originally be played up on dial-up, so in order to keep the data down, they kind of did waves. That way a room could have a lot of enemies, but only so many would appear at a time. When you play on offline mode, sometimes there'll be more enemies. With multiplayer, there will be a lot more enemies in the room. And it was kind of interesting that this game could handle dial-up. So right here is the little beam of light. If you go up to it, your bottom icon changes to a kind of a magnifying glass, and then it changes to a talk icon. So this room explains about a certain enemy in the room, which was a poison lily. As a cast, you can't get poisoned. You can get confused. You can't get paralyzed, but you have your own version of paralyzed if you get hit by a lightning elemental attack. So it's kind of a plus, which is nice. But yeah, this is just telling you that poison lilies have poisonous spit. Other rooms will give you a little bit more. In the first area, in the forest of the game, there's a lot of information because it goes over the background. So this one's alerting me about landmines. You can detect them by using a trap vision. So as a cast, you automatically have trap vision, so you can see all the traps, as I just shot one. That one you take damage from. There's other types of traps. Some of them will freeze you, some of them will damage you, some of them will confuse you, some of them actually heal you. So not all traps are bad, but you can kind of tell the difference. They all have different shapes. Mainly in this area, there are just the damaging traps. So over here is this little light beam force field. To get around it, you have to find a switch to turn it off. It actually might be on this side of the room. Nope, not in this room. So it'll be in a different room, and then you can kind of backtrack if you want those items. So this game only having the 4 areas. The forest has 2 mini areas. The cave has 3. The mine has 2. And the ruins has 3. So there's a total of there's 10 areas to travel through in the game. Now, the game randomly generates every time you start up a file, or when you're online you create your team. It'll randomly generate those maps, so they're not exactly the same every single time, to add a little bit of variety. I believe there's 3 to 4 map designs per area, which is pretty cool. So you can keep on playing this over and over and over, which you end up having to level grind. But it's a lot of fun if you're playing with your friends. I know when I first got this on GameCube, I was playing this all the time with one of my friends, and we could play this for hours. The game does kind of scale in difficulty really quickly. On the normal difficulty, which I've already cleared, in the first forest, it's very, very easy. And you can level up pretty quickly, and then you get to the boss. The boss might kill you on the first attempt, but then if you go through the forest one more time, typically your level will get high enough that you can take on the dragon by yourself or with a couple party members, depending on your skill and what class you're playing. Casts kind of have it harder in the beginning because they rely on buying healing items, where if you are any other class and you can use magic, there are healing spells that you can get really early on that make it a lot easier. This game also has a bunch of little submissions to mix it up a little, which some of them Some of them kind of contribute to the main storyline, but a lot of them have their own little subplots, which is a lot of fun. Some of them are more in depth, where the story continues throughout side missions. And, I mean, those give you a lot of money when you complete them. So they're a great way to pad your pockets, to be able to buy healing items, buy new armor, buy new weapons. Granted, you can find a lot of them in drops, but I find a lot of the time I'll find better weapon drops than I do armor drops. And so I end up buying new pieces of armor, but I will not need to buy new weapons, because typically my weapons are better than the ones in the shop. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of configuration. There's a lot of weapons. Even if I have a basic ray gun right now, and it doesn't have any abilities, but I have 2 rail guns, which are lower strength than the ray gun, but they have cool abilities. Shadow is an instant kill, and draw gets me health whenever I hit an enemy. And every single weapon has different stats. Even if it's another ray gun, they'll have they'll randomly generate. The stats differ by very, very little, but you can also get pluses on them, which means they have increased stat lines, so they'll be a little bit better. And that's what kind of helps with the drops, because I mean, you can walk around a level and you pick up the new latest greatest weapon in the series, and then you'll find another one and you'll be like, oh, this one's better. I'll show the stats in a little bit, just to kind of give a little bit more background to that. The nice thing about this game is if I leave this room, the enemies won't chase me, so it's kind of like I can escape for a little bit. So I'll enter here, and let me pull this up. So the item pack, as I hit the start menu, you will see my stats. I'm a level 42. I'm a Ray Casil, which is, I'm a Ranger Caste female. Yellow Booze is my Hunter ID. So there are, I believe, 10 Hunter IDs in the game, and based on your Hunter ID, you'll get different bonuses for what weapons drop. Now, and it's based off your name. So I get Yellow Booze, which gets me extra. I'll probably mess up how to say this, but it's the currency of the game. So I find more money drops, and my money drops are worth more. Now, there's different things that focus on maybe pistols, or the shotgun series, or the rifle series, or swords, or staffs, or armor. So all these different things. Now, if you are a certain class, there are certain weapons. Certain section ID. You can only some weapons are limited only to you. Now, as I open my item pack, I have equipment, so I can go look at what I have equipped. Right now, I have my ray gun, I have grand armor, and these are slots in my armor, which kind of, if you are lucky enough to find armor with slots, you can add extra abilities. I have 2 HP restores, so as I stand still, my health regenerates. This buffs all my stats by 10, which is really, really cool. It's a higher level item. That's what those stars mean. The more stars, the more rare. This just increases my evasion, which is nice. Now down here, I have my barrier, which is a shield. And then I have what's called my mag. So going over, everyone gets a weapon, armor, a shield, and then your mag. Now, what your mag is a living creature. That is what's floating behind me. You can add stats to your mag by feeding it items. So I can go here, give items. Based on what mag you have, they like different foods. So, as a ranger, I want my dexterity to be high, so my skill with rifles is better. But I also put some in defense to increase my defense and my power. So those stats translate and get added to my stats in different ways. If I remember correctly, defense is 1-for-1. Power is, I think, a half, and so is dexterity. And I think mind might be 1-to-1. But by feeding, your mag will level up. Mine's a level 68 right now, and then they get these cool things called photon blasts. And that's what that gauge is on the top left corner. That's at 49 right now. As I take damage and give damage, my mag charges, and I can do a photon blast, which damage enemies in different ways. Like I have one that shoots in a linear strike. Next to it is one that actually, it says it only hits flying enemies, but it hits all enemies around you. And then there's others that some of them just give you buffs, some of them will get full heal your whole entire party. So depending on how you level up your mag and what stats you give it, you get different photon blasts. And they level up every, I think the first time they change forms is at level 10, and then I believe 30, 50, and then 100. They might change at different levels. My mag hasn't evolved in a while, so I do not remember. But it also depends on the stats of your mag. If your mag stats highest stat doesn't change, typically it doesn't get to evolve. But yeah, that's a lot of the basics of this game. I still do get to play online, and I hope to do a video of this playing online. Right now I'm just really trying to test out how the audio sounds and if I need to look into getting a new headset or not. My headset is pretty old, so I might need to look into one. But before trying to do more videos, I want to make sure the audio sounds decent. That seems like it's going to be all for today. I hope you guys tune in next time. I'll probably try audio testing again, and maybe I will put my Dreamcast online and so you guys can see the online system. Thanks for watching.